you know,
Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Meadowbrook Playground Renovation Concept Review. I am Michelle Kelly and I'm with Upland Design. I'm going to be your moderator and presenter this evening. And with me is also Maria Blood from Upland Design. She will be playing techie in the background and also taking notes. And then from the Park District, Derek, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Derek Liebert. I'm the Superintendent of Planning and Operations.
Andy Russo, Project Manager.
Yeah, and then Kara Dudek will also be joining us in just a little bit, so you might see her friendly face as well. All right, so here's our agenda for this evening. Our project introduction by Kara. So I don't, Derek, do you want to do that? You want me to go ahead and do it? I know she's having a little technical issues.
Sure. Well, maybe I can give a little bit of background and then you can help on the Michelle. But I think the things that Kara wanted to talk about is that we're excited to be at this juncture in the planning process. And we have been working with the community for over a year now, preparing for the 3 concepts we're going to share tonight. And appreciate everybody's input so far. This will be recorded and shared online, so folks couldn't make it tonight, they can look at it and get the same information moving forward.
That sounds great. So we're gonna go through this evening a little bit about project planning, tell you where we are in the middle of this planning process, the survey results that came back from the community, we're going to share those, and then we're going to go through the playground components and the concept features that you'll see in all 3 of the concepts. And then we'll go through each of the concepts in some detail. And finally, show you a link to the next public input, which is to get feedback from the larger community on these 3 different concepts and the ideas and equipment that are in them. And then at the end, we'll have questions. But as Maria said, if you have any questions through the presentation, go ahead, put them in the chat. We're going to moderate as we go and interrupt if that makes sense, the presentation. Okay, awesome. Yay, Kara looks like she might be joining us now. So, all right, so here is our project planning process and schedule. So everything on the left are the things we're doing and everything on the right are the estimated dates. Right now we're at the 2nd public meeting. It's virtual, and then the next public meeting is expected to be June 15th. So if you want to mark that on your calendar, we'll have another public meeting at 6 o'clock on the 15th. And that the idea is that between now and then, we'll take the survey information on what we get from these concepts and put that into one concept or one preliminary master plan for the playground site. And the idea is that 3rd public meeting will present that and get feedback one more time to make sure we got it right. So that's our process. By the end of July, we should have this this part of it wrapped up as far as the planning, and we'll know the direction to be going forward for the playground renovation. Okay. All right, so first we're going to go through survey results from the first survey. What is your favorite on the following top features? And you can see these multiple ones here. And our top go-getters were this one at 37% of the vote and 34 here. Our next question is, this was a presentation of different structures, playground structures, and what were your favorites? Our top 2 first was this guy here and this one here. And then the 3rd favorite, which got a 6.4 out of 10, was this one. So keep these in mind. We will show them one more time later this evening so you can see them and how they helped us guide the designs. Next, spinners. This was the top spinner at 45.26%. So lots of people like this group spinner. And then climbers, here are our top 3 climbers at 27, 23, and 17. And these are all the ones that were seen in the vote. slides. These are the different slide options that were in the survey. And these two were our top getters at 42 and 31. All right, so based on all that great input, it really helped us come up with 3 concepts. But in all the concepts, there really came some important pieces that we wanted to make sure that we had. So when we are going to start down here at the 2 to 5 play structure. Our existing Prairie Play right now actually does not have a 2 to 5. So it's a little bit of a comparison as well as a guidepost for the designs. And so in all 3 concepts, you will find a 2 to 5 play structure. Now for the 5 to 12, and I'll just mention that this 2 to 5 and 5 to 12, this is a safety break. And because kids have different abilities in these 2 age groups. And so we're very much have designed equipment that falls better between those age groups. And there's a little overlap, that 5-year-old overlap. So often our 4 and 5-year-olds are running towards the big structure. But that's why we break them up into those 2 different groups. So the 5 to 12 in the existing Prairie Play, yes, there's a very nice large structure. The top deck height is 8 foot. So where you can put your feet on a deck and stand, that's 8 foot tall. And the top roof is 16. And yes, all 3 of the concepts have a 5 to 12, but in all 3, our minimum deck height where you can put your feet is a 12 foot. So we're actually 4 foot taller than the current structure, but we actually have one that's even 14 feet. And we have a roof height on all 3 of the main structures at 22.5 feet. So we've actually, taken that roof even higher. Which seemed to be what people were asking for in a lot of our comments, was to have something that that fit that grand scale. Next, access to the structure via a ramp. Right now there is none, and we heard a lot of comments on wanting to make things more accessible. So 2 of our 3 concepts do have access onto that 5 to 12 play structure by a ramp. So somebody that might be in a wheelchair or have some mobility issues with walking has a much easier time getting onto the structure. And then swings. Right now there is 1 tire swing, 4 belts, 5 buckets, and 1 ADA. And so we have a little bit of a change up here. A minimum on all of these is 5 belt swings, so a little bit more belt, 3 bucket seats, and 1 ADA swing. The ADA is a big bucket you see down here on the bottom, just to give you that idea. You will also see these is the minimum. So on some of the concepts, there is additional swings or different kinds of swing events. So you'll see those in each of the concepts. And then finally, nature was something we heard a lot from people about, wanting to have nature somehow really weaved within the playground design. And so right now that really doesn't happen, but in all 3 of the future concepts, we have that. Also, some other important things you'll see in all the concepts, all of them have about 1,000 square feet of rubber surfacing. That's the poured in place solid. It's not a loose fill material. It's usually a fun color. And we're using that in areas to improve accessibility. So you'll see that in each of the designs. All of them also have a minimum play surface. So actual where play equipment and running takes place of 10,000 square feet. So you're a really good size playground. So together, those 2 is a minimum of 11,000 square feet. And then we have, there's a new fence in all our designs between the parking and the playground to encourage safety. And then new concrete walks and entry ramps, direct access from the playground to the shelter / restroom building. So right now there's a fence but you have to go out of the playground, walk along the parking lot, concrete walk, and then to the shelter restroom building. So that is one change, that we still have a fence, but the shelter now has direct access with a walkway. There'll be a new drainage system under the playground. And then there'll be a nature trail of some sort. Each of them is a little different, but you'll see that in every one of the designs. And then finally, there are 6 picnic tables, 8 benches, 4 bike racks, and 6 litter receptacles in every design. So as I go through, I won't point out a lot about all these locations. You'll see them, but know that every design has a minimum of these pieces to make comfort and seating throughout the playgrounds. All right. So some of the things that may happen in the future are things like entry features, some of the standalone shade structures or shade sails, vine tunnels, additional art, maybe more seating than we have as our minimum, music instrument play area, and landscape planting. So right now we have a budget we're working with, and so these are some of the things that may end up coming later or coming by donation on top of the current budget. All right, so here is our site, just to give you a little bit of a jog of memory. And you can see here, that is the fence that I was mentioning, how that right now you can't walk between the two, you have to kind of come out and around. So now the fence will be out here just a little bit more, and you'll be able to connect easily to these two. One other thing I will mention before we go into all the designs, you will see trees in all of them. For the vast majority of these, we're able to save all the trees that you see on site. There are a couple of trees that have been identified as having some quality issues, and they may be taken down. But what we've tried to do is, I think in one plan we might have one tree that might be going because of a walkway, but we've tried in essence to save the majority of the trees where they are because they provide such wonderful shade. All right, we're going to the concepts. Each concept has a theme that goes with it. And all the concepts have a different layout and different play equipment, although, as I said, there's some minimums that are happening in all of them. At the end, we'll show you a link to a survey, and the survey should be up and out tomorrow, along with the recording of this presentation this evening. So I'm probably say this a couple times, but please share that. Friends, family, neighbors, anybody else that you know is interested in the playground, so that we can get everyone's opinion. And with the survey, there are lots of different options. So we have different themes, we have different 2 to 5 structures, different 5 to 12 structures, and you'll get to vote on all of those. So you might want to have a little pad of paper with you and note some of your favorites as we're going through the presentation this evening. All right, so let's go. Animal explorations. This is the overall layout plan. And to give you just a little bit of understanding on destination, this is our parking lot right out here, existing trees, and this is the concrete walk that is out there in essence now. So we are adding a new walk here, as I promised, connecting us up to the existing shelter and restrooms, and also as kind of a welcome into the playground. As you come in, off to the side, we have a nice long zip line, and then we go into the 5 to 12 playground. This green space you see here and over here is that rubber surfacing that makes these areas a little bit more accessible, and we're easily connecting to the transfer module on our big play structure here, as well as our small 2 to 5 play structure here. And then here we have a concrete walk that also snakes through the playground, making access to the entire space easy to navigate. And also, because it's a different surfacing, it also is also a wayfinding feature to get to different areas. So as I said, this is our 5 to 12. And then you come over here, this is our 2 to 5. We have additional swings here that are geared a little bit more towards tots, and then a friendship swing. And then over here, we have an ADA swing. You can see a picnic table there, spinners in this area, more swings here. That's our minimum, as we talked about earlier. And then you can come back out here and get over to here. Other things, you'll see lots of green. These are landscape beds so that when you're inside the playground, we're able to add new trees and shade as well as plantings. And over here, you'll see these little tree cookie trails. And this is actually some of that getting into nature and being able to kind of step out of the playground and connect up that kids can do. A couple other things, just overall, all of the concepts have an outer edge, and that helps define the safety zone. That outer edge is a concrete curb. It's a new curb. And then, and that way we always know where that safety surfacing needs to be when it gets replenished. So all of these brown areas are engineered wood chips. Okay. Here's a great picture of those tree cookies and a little bit of nature trail, and kind of what we're looking at, some of the native plantings that would go in here. And then here, and here, these entry features, we're showing these fun vine tunnels where kids can kind of walk in. We have plantings on either side, and it gives a little bit of a magical feel as you're entering this new play space. Right, here's the 2 to 5 piece. There's all kinds of fun to be had on this particular piece. You can climb through a tunnel here, take an easy set of stairs up here, slide down here, and then you can see some of the details in the structure are really fun. There's some sensory pieces where they can play music. You can bring your own Matchbox race car and race it right on top of the this little loop that you see. Also, you can see it right up here. And then there's even little shapes and a little bit of mirrors inside this. So lots of little pieces to have fun with, and for that really 2, 3, 4-year-old group. Right next to, surrounding our play structure, are these fun animals, our animal exploration. This Tuscan turtle is 6 foot long and 4 foot wide. And then we have a ladybug who's 3.5 by 2.5, and a fabulous bullfrog, which is also 6 foot long. You can see, you can climb on top or have fun with them at the ground level. Next, we have the 5 to 12 play structure. This is a play structure that really ties into the things that people were asking for. This one here is the one people saw and chose in the survey, and this is the structure that has been custom designed for this site. So you can see how that really plays together. And here it is, all nice and big. So you can see the roof height is 22.5 feet, and that highest deck is at 12. But we also have a lower deck here. And so there's lots of different levels of play. And throughout the structure, there are places to climb up with various levels of ability. So if you have a lower ability and really need a handrail, the set of stairs right here allows you to get all the way up into this big area of the playground. If you want to, but if you want to challenge yourself, you might take this up or down, or our ladder here. And then we have ladders and climbers on the other side as well. You can even climb across this big net here over to a whole nother play area that maybe it's its own imaginative space. And then you can even climb across and pod across to the big net structure. Also one of the items that was highly voted on. Here is another good image. You can see that net in the background, but this gives you the other side where you can see a fun climbing wall here, an actual rock climbing wall here, and then also some ground level play panels. The other thing that you'll see about the structure is that we still have areas for kids to be able, who are a little bit younger, maybe 5 or 6, to be able to slide when they're not quite ready to go down the big slide. And so you'll see levels of climbing and levels of sliding that are at different levels. Another fun thing about the structure is that on our rocks, which we have here and here hiding, there are hand-painted animals. So that animal exploration continues on the structure with ladybugs, dragonflies, snakes. There's actually bats, all kinds of fun things. You could have a scavenger hunt of finding fun items on this play structure. All right, and so now we're going to talk about some of the independent play pieces that are in Concept A. This circle area here is all spinners. We have the curvus spinners, which are a standing spinner, and also one you can do with a partner. And then the chill spinner, which there's also 2 of those. And that is one where you'll have a seat. You can play with another kid who might spin you, but also gives lots of back support and core support if you have less strength. And here's our really long, 66-foot long zip line. The zip line also has a pad that connects to the overall chain where you can stand like this young lady, or you can also sit. This is the Brava Universal Swing, that the ADA swing. People with lots of different abilities can have that swinging adventure on this piece here. You can see this young guy who's got upper body strength, but not lower body, can actually swing himself by doing this. It's also fun to do with a group of friends. So it's not just made for somebody who might have mobility issues. It's really made for all kids to be able to play together. Right, so this is our summary slide, just showing all the play pieces that are part of Concept A. So I'm just going to give you a second to take that in before we move on. And then also I'll give you that this is our summary slide of the plan view.
One thing to note before we move on to Concept Plan B is tomorrow when you get an opportunity to take a look at the survey and kind of give input on your favorites. Think tonight of all the different pieces that you like. It's not necessarily just layout plan A, layout plan B, or layout plan C. It can be a combination of the 3. And we hope that it is, because this is, playground that you guys are going to be using, and we want that input. So if there's a certain 5 to 12 structure that you prefer, but it doesn't necessarily line up with your favorite independent pieces, that's okay. So just make sure that you keep an eye out. Michelle mentioned earlier to take out a piece of paper and write down your favorites. Make sure that it's not just A, B, or C, but all those other pieces as well.
Right, so let's talk about Concept B. This one, our theme is pollinators at play. And our layout, as you can see, is completely different. We're in a very similar footprint in all of them, but in here we have 1, 2, 3 entry points to the playground. This again is that walk that is existing along the parking lot, and we kept this access here, but we have this nice clean access over to the restroom and shelter building. So this access and this access are both at grade. So you're coming in flat right into the playground. While our third access over to the east, as soon as you kind of come off this walk, it starts ramping up at a nice low 4.5%. But we ramp all the way up till we get to this accessible point here where you can get onto the structure. So part of the way we do that is by berming, raising up the sidewalk and having the edges flow down with poured in place surfacing. So that really helps us with the access. But also, as soon as a kid kind of gets over this threshold into the playground, they could run down the mound and out into the playground, or they can keep traveling and get to our 5 to 12 structure. One of the fun things about layout B is that when you pull into the parking lot, the height, which is that 22.5 feet, even taller than the current structures, is often the distance. So it's almost like a destination at the far side of the playground, and you can take this walk Or of course, you can run into any of these and find a climber to get up on that structure. So this is our 5 to 12 area over here. This is our 2 to 5 area. We have spinners and climbers. And then over here, we have our minimum swings as well as a friendship swing. And then we have 2 group swings. We'll see some pictures of these. They're called oodle swings, and it's kind of like a modern tire swing. Another thing about concept B is that we have new landscape beds here and here that are right in the middle of the playground. So we can add some more shade into the middle spaces. And then on the outside edges, we have seating, the fence along here, just like our other concept, and lots of new plantings and lush areas. Then this pathway here and this pathway here are little nature trails. Let's see, one other thing that I want to note is that you'll see this little guy here and here, and those are concrete ramps that dive into the wood chips. We have them in all of the concepts, but that way it makes it easier to navigate when you do have mobility issues. So for our little trails here, this is kind of the look of what those would be. A little bit of fun edging, lots of pollinator plants, because this is the pollinators at play playground. And the idea is that butterflies and bees are going to be attracted to these edge spaces, and that there'll also be something fun to just feel like you've immersed yourself in a little bit of nature right here in the playground. And then shade, these guys here and here are standalone shade sails. They're 12 by 12 with picnic tables underneath them, giving extra spaces for people. Maybe they're not using the shelter, or maybe they want to be closer to kids playing in these spaces. Now onto our 2 to 5. This is structure here, pointing out where it's at. It's like 2 little houses. One's kind of like a market space and one is a more like a little house. But again, there's lots of fun details in these with panels that they can flip colors, little flowers that spin, talk tubes. When you're inside the house, there's actually a clock on the wall. And we have a slide at one end, easy stairs at the other, and a fun climb through tunnel between the 2. So lots of little spaces for little kids, and some of that fun manipulatives with panels and things that spin and turn and flip, so that kids can really use those little fingers to build their skills. Right next to our fun house are our pollinators. So we have a fun spring rides that mimic a pollinator, like this one fun butterfly here, and then a big 9-foot long caterpillar for kids to be able to play on. That's located right here in the playground. Next is our 5 to 12 play structure. So this structure was modeled after this one that was highly voted on in our survey. We'll throw it. Here it is, nice and big. Just to point out again that the highest roof right now on our current playground is here, but our roof here is up at that 22.5 foot. And the same with our deck. We end up with a 12-foot tall deck here that kids can get up on, and they can slide in one of these 2 fun slides. These 2 slides were our top getting slides too. So it's really fun to be able to pull those pieces people voted for together into these structures. One of the things about this structure that's a little bit different, it has some similarities to A, but that we have that ramping system. So you're able to ramp onto a large hex deck here, a large hex deck here, and then with a little bit steeper, you can get to another deck right here. So there's a lot of opportunities to be on there on that whole system, even if you have some mobility issues. And at the same time, there's also an easy set of stairs to be able to get up to all of this big lower deck spaces. And then there is a ladder that gets you up to that high deck. So a little bit more challenging for that space. And here you can see it in kind of in real time. This is the opposite view. Again, there's that lower slide. So if you're a little bit younger, you have that lower space to be able to still get a slide in, and lots of different climbing features, climbing across, climbing up, sliding down. On this structure, we also added, besides the big roof up on top, 2 big shade sails on the structure to help provide some more shade in the middle of the playground. And here's another view. I'll point out this also has a big rock climber, and this rock climber, where the first one had 2, this one has 1, but it also has some of those painted creatures on the actual rock. And here you can sort of see a little bit of a summary. This is nice because you get both viewpoints. And this gives you an idea of kind of what that mounding looks like here, how you come up to this, and then you're able to get right onto that, but you can still run down into the playgrounds. Playground, this is the pollinator themed one. So we also have some custom panels with butterflies and bees and some fun interactive things that make it a little bit more custom and interesting for kids to play. All right, now on to some independent pieces. So first, spinners. This is was our #1 spinner, the Omni. It's really great for groups of kids and has great back support. So you don't have a seat. You can just lay there and really enjoy being with friends. And then we also have saddle spinners. So this is like a sit and spin for a playground. And we have a couple of those in the playground. You can see where they're located here. And then this is a big butterfly climber. It's in the shape of butterfly with our big antenna here, but it's a net that you could climb up and down, over and under, or just lay across. These guys here are our oodle swings, as I was saying, kind of a modern day tire swing. And we have 2 of them. So lots of kids can play together, or maybe parents too. So here's our summary slide of all the pieces and parts that you see are 2 to 5, 5 to 12, and really the whole gamut. And again, I'll give you just a minute to look at that. Good. Right. And here's that plan view one more time. The whole. Maria, you're keeping an eye on me. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right. Awesome. All right, we're going to go to C. C is our treetop adventure. And wait till you see where we're going. Again, a completely different layout. For this one, this has 3 entrance points. The far east one and the one here are both at ground level, while the one in the middle, in this case, ramps up and mounds to get you onto that playground piece here. So this is our 5 to 12 area, the zip line over here and swings. We hope that you feel like you're zipping through the treetops on this zip line with existing trees here and new trees added here and here. And then maybe you're just swinging in the treetop. So when you swing here, you're looking both directions. No matter where you look, you're seeing trees. And then over here on the other side, this is our 5 to 12 or 2 to 5 area, which includes a small sand space to play, a house, and lots of other little fun things that we'll go through. Again, there is seating throughout the area, and we have a fence along this area here. Lots of new landscaping, but still some nice seating areas in the lawn and new landscaping over here with native shrubs and perennials and a little trail, of course. And one other thing I'll note is that this connects here as well as here. So this one has a much new wider sidewalk to the restroom. One difference that you see in C. All right. So here is our plantings. We have a little bit more ephemerals back here because of our existing trees, with some lungwort and columbine, and then also some fun green art so that this little trail feels like you've, kind of found a special secret garden. And onto our 2 to 5. This is I'm going to call it the mini house, because it really is that 2-3-year-old group this one is geared towards. You can see these two fellas who are just barely walking, having a good time with this ground level table. We still have some sensory play with the music, a little bees and flowers that turn, and a little house to be inside. And when you're inside, there's a mirror to surprise you. You can see here, we just have just a little bit of step here, but even the flower here has these glass marbles that reflect light and make them interesting to look at. And that's a little bell right there, so you can ring the doorbell to come into the house. And here's our animal. So in this one, we have a 14-foot long salamander. This guy here is wrapped right around the bottom of our big mound, almost like he's hiding behind the mound. When you come into the playground, you're not going to know he's there, and then he'll surprise you. And then crawling along the sides here, we have our Tuscan turtle and the frog again. We just love these guys. I think that the kids are going to love them too. This is our sand play area. So we have a table here that kids can kind of interact play. And if you need to have some mobility issues, or you just don't like to sit in the sand, because some kids don't like to touch it, this is a great way to kind of be at the edge of it and still be able to play with that, with the sand table. And so this was our third favorite structure that you see right here. And this is our structure that you can see, that you'll see in the concept C. This is a great time for me to mention that the colors of the play equipment that you see throughout, we tried to keep them more in the browns and greens for all three concepts. When we do our next public meeting in June, we'll be able to show you some different options on the color, but we didn't want people to pick the play equipment by just the color. So we tried to keep it a little bit more neutral, but we look forward to getting your input and comments on what those colors might end up being for the final design when we come back in June. Right, so here is the play structure. Again, we have the same, we're kind of showing those same 22.5 foot tall. This must be a magic number in playground height. But the deck on this one, unlike A and B, which is at 12, this one's actually at 14. There's a lot going on in the structure. It really is tall. We want the kids to feel like they're up in the trees, but it has a ton of climbing pieces inside, and also kind of a big box here where kids can go up and come down and go across and then connect over to our big net structure here. And even at ground level, there's another circuit down here where you can go easily up the stairs or take a couple pods and a big climber. Also, we are connecting to the concrete sidewalks. So somebody can get to this deck as well as to this deck if they're in some kind of wheelchair, or maybe have a cane even. All right. And this is a great view. We kind of get up and can see how you enter that play feature, how this is a nice box here. We have another big circuit here that you can go up and down and around. And then once you're up in here, there's lots of different climbing that you can get up and slide down this slide, or come to the other side and slide down the other side. And here's our back side. So that also includes climbing wall here and a fire pole here, and another sneaky spot to jump in here if you want to climb inside, as well as another circuit here where we can come across this balance beam, more pods, and come up here. So the idea is there's just lots of different routes to take, whether you're going up or down or sliding or climbing, that hopefully they will be able to spend a lot of time trying to figure out this play structure. And here's a couple of images that kind of show you the inside. So even inside our play structure, there's some little panels, numbers, fun things to do. as well as this sort of ropey climb piece, which is inside and will surprise the kids when they find it. There it is, all enlarged. All right, on to independence. This is the topsy-turvy spinner here. So you can stand, you can sit, you can do it with a friend. And then we still have some fun saddle spinners that are found over here. There's our zip line. So this is that same 66-foot long zip line. And here's our summary slide that shows all the pieces and parts that you see in Concept C. Here's the plan view again. All right, so next we're just gonna do just a little bit of a review of the 3 different things that are categorized and are part of our survey. So first, we have 3 different themes. The animal explorations, A, pollinators at play, B, and treetop adventure, C. And we've tried to take each of these and imbue these fun things into the concepts, but it's most important that we get this right and the combination of things right for the community. So if you really love maybe the layout of C, but the concept theme of B, we don't care. You get to vote on whatever thing that you like best for each of the categories. So the same thing for our layouts. They vary differently. They have different access points. Some have these big mounds and ramps up to the play structure, and others don't, as in layout plan A. Some have zip lines, some don't. So you get to decide which layout you like, and then you also get to decide which play structure. Do you love the option A, which has the big nets? Option B, which has our ramp, but the nice big shade sails? Or C, is it the one that has a net and a ramp, but also this kind of crazy circuits that go over and over again? And then our tot play area, our 2 to 5. So these kind of spaces we have, the structure with these guys, the structure with these guys, or C. But you can see in all of them, we have some fun animals, and they all really are geared to that 2 to 5 group. And then independent play. Maybe you have a favorite in these. So we also want you to be able to vote and give us your input on which of the independents fits best. So this is what the survey, when you click on it, this is what it's going to look like. So you know you're in the right spot. And this is the actual website. So when you go to the Urbana Park District website, you will see that there is a page just for Meadowbrook. This is the address of it, but you can just go to the website for the Park District and you'll be able to find that page, and it will take you to being able to take the survey. And that'll be on tomorrow. Is that correct?
So the survey is actually live now. I can put the link in the chat so anyone can take it. But when I start to send the survey out to anyone and everyone tomorrow, I wanted to wait until we had this recording so that people could watch that as well if they wanted. So I'll provide both the webpage and the direct survey link within the chat now.
Okay, wonderful. Again, please pass it on to people you know. We would like to get hundreds of people, maybe even 1,000. We'd be great with 1,000 voting on the survey and giving input on this important decisions. And then I just want to reiterate that that we're not done getting input even after this. We're going to come back again. So June 15th, 6:00 p.m. Note your calendar. And remember that we're going to have one more ability to give input after this one so that we can make sure that we got this right and let you give some input on those final tweaks before we finish up the plan. All right, that is the end of the presentation. Is there anything else that we need to add? Maria, I did good. We're all right. Derek?
We're all
Great.
good.
All right, we're gonna give a thumbs up. Thank you so much for coming this evening. I don't see any questions in our chat. Should we give you just, 10 seconds, 15 seconds? You want to add a question? We'd be happy to take it.
Yeah, or even just share comments on something that stood out to you. And another thing I'd be interested in is how you heard about the meeting too, so we know how we're reaching people.
If you prefer to talk, feel free to raise your hand and we could make that happen.
Oh, I see one. I see someone has raised a hand. Can you allow them to speak?
Yep. Ray, you're on.
Hi, I was wondering, and I know this might be jumping ahead, but a lot of us who were involved in constructing the original structure and also donated and made the concrete squares are very interested on getting those back if you're going to be taking them out. And I was wondering when and if that was going to happen.
Yes, it is. You guys want to describe how there's a plan afoot to make that happen?
Thank you.
Yes, I have a list of people who've already reached out to me regarding the same thing. And so I'm just keeping an email list of those who want to be notified. And we'll do our best to catalog them all and remove them in one piece. And then I'll reach out for when those can be picked up. As far as timeline, what would you say, Derek? 2023 spring?
Yeah, I think that's the safe bet is spring of 2023. It's possible to happen sooner. And then, Derek, can you put your email address in the chat so that Ray can email you? Great.
Most definitely.
All right. Awesome. And Ray, if you didn't see, there's a comment for you in the chat from someone else who visited.
Okay.
Any other questions or?
I will say it's been extraordinary how many folks have been interested in getting their helping hands, this and then favor back. It's really indication of how important that was to folks who participated in the activity.
Pretty neat.
Linda
Right.
had some comments too. Linda, you just need to
Yep.
unmute.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ray, it's great to see you. I've been talking to the Park District as well, and we've been working on some fundraising ideas. So if anybody has any ideas of things that they would enjoy for a new fundraiser that, would be really inclusive of people's artwork or some other thing like that would be fun to incorporate into the playground, we would love and welcome your ideas. So please share any thoughts you might have about any other fun fundraising ideas. Thanks.
Thank you. That was great. All right. Anybody else want to add a comment or a question? All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate it. And please take the survey and share with friends and family and neighbors. And we cannot wait to see what you all vote for. I know that there's some kids that have already been able to see some of them, and I feel like we're all on pins and needles, excited to hear what everyone thinks. So have a great night.
Thank you.